And thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Terrence Woodson, and I am one of the events and programs manager here at the Seattle Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to welcome you all to the Chamber of Commerce's first Elevate Northwest series of the year. And the topic is reclaiming your energy, something that I feel like we all could use a little bit more of these days. Before we begin, I'd like to take a quick poll. And the question of the poll is, what is your current energy level? So you have three choices. Pick one that's kind of currently what you're feeling today, this week. All right. See, this looks like it's between low and moderate so far. All right, well, it looks like we have kind of, most people are moderate, consistent, steady level energy through the day, but there's also folks who are feeling low energy. Honestly, for me, some days I'm moderate, some days I'm low, and then there's very few days where I feel super high. So we're right on par with that. Thanks for participating. And our speaker today is going to give us all some tools that we can use to improve our energy level. Now, I would like to thank our sponsors, Business Health Trust and Reach King County, and also our small business champions, Boeing and Symetra. Now, I'd like to just go over a few logistics before we start the talk. One, please make sure your microphone is on mute. If you need any technical assistance, please use the chat box, and my colleague Lee will assist you. Anna will be speaking for about 20 minutes, then we'll have about 10 minutes of Q&A. Also during Anna's talk, she encourages you to use the chat. There's going to be a few opportunities to engage with her that way. And then if you have a question for Anna at the end of her talk, simply unmute yourself and share your question. So now I'd like to introduce our speaker, Anna S. Choi. She is the CEO and founder of Conscious Business Coaching. Anna is a TEDx speaker, a Forbes magazine author, and is committed to elevating humanity's consciousness by empowering high-achieving, six-figure conscious entrepreneurs and business leaders to prevent burnout while scaling their company. A little background on Anna. As a broke art major with zero experience or connections, she started and sold her first financial planning business, grossing six figures by the age of 25. Over the next decade, Anna served on the faculty for a 95 million global enterprise in the personal growth and development industry, while also running her own marketing consulting firm for clients in tech, finance, real estate, wellness, and coaching industries. She brings over 10,000 hours of mastery in leadership development, high performance, stress management coaching for hundreds of conscious entrepreneurs, startups, and small businesses. Burned out from the hustle and grind, Anna has pursued energy mastery since 2014. Anna is a Taekwondo martial artist, body and brain yoga instructor, and an energy flow consultant. Anna, feel free to unmute yourself and begin your talk.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to share my screen. All right. I walk into the foyer of my financial planning office and I collapse in this suede leather chair. As Terrence had mentioned, I was 25 and yet I collapsed from sheer exhaustion and I couldn't actually get up. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I am burned out in my early 20s. How is this going to be sustainable long term? Fast forward, and I decided to sell my practice, start a family, pursue my dream of being a stay-at-home mom, and did lots of things. Went on sabbatical, wasn't working, got pregnant, water birthed my son. We bought our house, we traveled the world, I published a children's book. super happy, but our bank account was not. We were broke. In fact, we were on food stamps and accruing lots of grad school loan debt and credit card debt, 67,000. I remember being at the store with my EBT card and figuring out what beans I was allowed to buy. And I was going through the checkout stand, and the woman, the cashier, was like, "Wait, hold on." And she's like, "Patty, she can't buy these beans on her card." And I'm just like, oh my gosh, the walk of shame. And I say to myself, never again. Something's got to shift right now. I need both the happiness and the money. So I started my second business, but the game had changed completely. Now I had a house, a spouse, and a kid to support as a sole breadwinner. So I did what I enjoyed and eventually landed myself a pretty good contract in the tech industry, doing event consulting for social impact, and had some side clients, working 35 hours a week. Life looked good on the outside, but inside I was, again, exhausted and burned out in my early 30s. I was running the equivalent of 4 complex weddings at the same time on different timelines, nonstop. So then I thought, okay, something's got to really shift here. And at this point, my kiddo was going into kindergarten. My husband was going to be going back to work. And so I started what was energetically aligned for me from a mind, body, heart, soul perspective, along with what the market needed, where I could make money, and what I was competent at. And that is my current business right now. So in a short span of years, we went from food stamps and $67,000 in debt to being debt-free, maxing out our retirement, grossing 6 figures in my company, and then taking 9 weeks of vacation. There's our house. We moved over to Poulsbo. We were in Seattle for over 17 years. I went to the UW, and then now we've been on the Kitsap side. It's really good over here for anyone who's looking for houses. So I had to watch myself, though, because when business is going well, you have a different set of problems. And I would be working twice as hard now before I was going on my vacations. So to be totally transparent, right, I was on track to now be burned out in my early 40s, but I stopped it. And that's when I really got into the energy work with the martial arts and the yoga, and integrated that into the work of how do we actually grow in flow. And we found a middle way, which is what we're going to talk about today, as far as the 5 secrets that have really worked wonders with my clients. So this is Chris. Like, some of you might know him. I don't know. Anyway, he was at a nice, high-paying 6-figure job in Seattle, but it was empty and miserable for him, and he wanted to start his own thing, and tried 2-3 times and just couldn't. Life always got in the way. But when we started working together, he was able to generate at least $100,000 to then quit and go full time. But money, like what matters, and what mattered for him and also with my clients, is making more impact in a way where you still have time for yourself and time for your family, which is what he was able to do, and even give his wife, who was a doctor, a break as well, so she wasn't burning out. And then this is Bree. She already runs like a multi-6-figure company, but she is now homeschooling the kids, and she's got working remote with her spouse, and it was just chaos at home, no boundaries. And so being able to create a really solid morning routine and get grounded for the rest of the day, and be calmer with herself and kids with a higher level of awareness, like into situations where she would normally just react, she could stop and be like, wait, maybe that reaction doesn't match this situation, and choose something else. Everyone knows what we're supposed to do, but it's another thing to live it, which is what she was able to do. So I share all of this because I want to know where you are in your own energy mastery journey or roller coaster. And so in a moment here, I would love to know what, on a scale of 1 to 10, how burned out are you right now? And so 1 is like, I'm never burned out, I have the highest level of energy. And 10 is like, I feel super burned out right now. So just answer it first for how you are right now, and then you can also answer for how burned out you are just in the last month, so I can get a gauge of where people are. I'll give you a moment to do that. So I'm hearing in the chat, can you guys, so It would be awesome, if possible at all, to be on the video as much as possible so I can see you. Because I do some interactive things with your hands. Okay, can you hear me? So just do this okay sign if you hear me fine and clear. Okay, so I see 3 out of 7 people with videos on. Yes, yes, somewhat. Okay, if I speak louder, is that better, or this is good? Good level of volume? Okay, awesome. So 4, 6, 4, 9, 9, 7, 7, 10, 6, 15, 7, 5, 8. Yes. So the reason I'm using my thumbnail version of the slideshow is I have to use the chat, and there's not a way for me to pop up the chat when I'm on slide version. So if you don't mind, thank you for being patient with that view. Okay, so we're good on volume. We've got our, so we are all over. 6, 5, 6. Okay. Okay, good. Awesome. So why? You know, at the beginning we had this poll. Most people were on the, where it was split between the low end and the middle end of energy levels. And so just for some context, there are 4 major global trends happening. One is information overload. Between 2016 and 18, and now this statistic would have just increased, Domo did a study where over 90% of human civilization's data, like everything that's on social media, everything that's been written, was generated 90% in that 2-year time span from 2018 to like when we had recorded data. Meaning gargantuan amounts of data are being produced every microsecond globally, and it just keeps increasing. So that's a new level that your brain has to process that never before it's had to process, even from a year ago, 2 years ago, it just keeps increasing. Number 2 is we have constant decision overwhelm, especially in pandemic times of, is this going to be a life-threatening situation for me to go into or not? That is also working on the brain. And then we've always had this constant adaptation. We approach singularity, and 65% of preschoolers today don't know what job are going to be in jobs that don't yet exist. So on top of that, we have internally what's going on with our own personal issues and challenges emotionally that constantly distract us. So that's the reality, is like today is not like yesterday. It just keeps evolving dramatically, and your brain's working 24/7 like this, very tired, and you might feel like this, that no matter how much you pour in, there's all these leaks coming out. And so I just want to create that, although we might hope that there's some future peaceful state or Zen state that we can always bring ourselves in, I would assert the world will never look like this. And this is actually my son on Indianola Beach looking at Mount Rainier. Life's kind of like this. It's a constant tsunami happening. And the key here, as you hear these 5 secrets, is to help you surf, help you be in flow amid all the chaos and struggle, so that you are still centered and grounded. So those are the 5 keys here that we're going to look through. So number 1, we're going to go through each one, is allow more yin to yang, listen within, invest in you first, value your fears, and energize your daily flow. So as we go through this, if you can put on a piece of paper, rate yourself for each one. Actually, it'd be great if you could chat it so I could see it and then use that. So in this first one, allow more yin to your yang. Just rate yourself on a simple scale of 1 to 5. 5 is, yes, I have really good balance between yin time and yang time, which I'll talk about. And then 0 is like, what the heck are you talking about? I just go, go, go. So go ahead and rate yourself in the chat. And I'm going to, as you guys are doing that, go into this first point. So we live in a very yang culture. It's all about 10 times growth, more productivity, more, and never enough. And so all these elements I'm about to speak on are very yin-based to just counterbalance the excess of yang that we tend to have in our culture. overall and globally, but especially in America. So the first principle of yin is simply blocking in more yin time. So I'm going to go in increments of first from a macro perspective at the year. Do you know when your next vacation is? And I recommend at least 4 weeks off a year, if not 6. I know many of you, from what I saw, are not necessarily business owners, so you have a different situation as a professional. But if possible, 4 to 6 weeks I found is prime. 9 is a little bit too much. 4 is like minimum to like keep functioning well, and 6 is like a sweet spot. So 1 week off per quarter, so it's actually spread out over the seasons and the rhythms, is best. And then from a more granular perspective, if you, in the week, what are the yin practices that you have now? And that could be that you take Sundays always offline, that you never work past a certain time of the day, that you do an hour of, personal growth or your spirit time or your meditation time or whatever you do in the morning. Whatever that is for you, just assess for yourself how much yin do you actually have intentionally built into your day. And then I'm going to share a story as well. So one of my clients, excuse me, just finding my little, Terrence, can you, the little menu for where I can see the chat disappear? And I'm not, oh, there it is, it just popped in. Okay, here we go. Great. Oh, got it. Okay, great. Great. So thanks for everybody who had courage to share where they're at as far as their ratings of where they're at right now. Okay, so you can just journal this just for sake of time as well and for confidentiality. On a journal, I'll just have you rate stuff moving forward here. Okay, so Stephanie, she was at a health insurance agency, and she, during open enrollment, it was similar to like tax season for CPA. So she'd go from working 15, 17-hour days, have a glass of wine, unwind with some TV, go to bed, drink her coffee, do it all over again, from coffee to wine each day. Some of you may be able to relate. And it was just a slog that she knew was for a quarter or two, and that was how it was. So what she was able to do is we first looked at when is your next vacation, so she blocked that off, so she had something to look forward to and knew when the end was. And then we looked at what are the things that give you flow and joy, and for her she needed to go walking outside more, so she started a walking club, and then she loved to sing, and she loved to thrift shop, and so we built those into this really custom weekly calendar for her. And it was interesting because certain days, like on Thursdays, it was easier for her to actually stay really, really late at night to work, but then she could take off the next morning. And instead of making that like this, oops, I shouldn't have worked that late and feeling bad about that, we made it intentional. And then she could, knowing the morning was off, she let her staff know. They had a small company of 5. Then they were able to have this really natural flow for her. And so much that at the end of she was at the end of the season or in the middle of the season, she was walking down into the hallway, and a colleague and competitor was like, "Are you still in business?" And she's like, "Yeah." "Why do you ask?" And she's like, "How is it possible that during open enrollment you are singing a chorus, putting up flyers for that?" And she's like, I'm a business coach. So anyway, I just share that as it is possible, where you might think it's impossible, to build in yin times and still have everything work, still have time for yourself. It's not either or. Okay, so then the next one is listening within. So I have, there's the 3 inner advisors, and this is from the book Brian Whitaker, a PhD, called Yes, Yes, Hell No. So if you think about right now, before I go there, what's a decision right now, you can just journal, that you need to make, that's could be a small decision or a bigger decision that you just can't decide on. It's just muddled, you're not clear. So go and think of what a decision you have to make at work, on a team. It could be personal, doesn't have to be work. And then You can privately chat me that and or journal that. Okay, so now I want you to think about the decision you have to make. So when I'm sharing this with my clients and so forth, it's things like, well, right now there's a lot of COVID decisions too, but when should I travel or meet someone, or should I at all? What are my, it's about hiring, firing people, expanding new offerings, things like that. So that still applies in the professional workplace too. Whatever that decision is, you're going to run it across 3 inner advisors of your intuition, also known as your gut or inner advisor, logic or your rational brain, and then fear. So you can close your eyes or keep them open, but think about that decision and just ask to yourself, okay, intuition, pick your word that you want, inner wisdom, gut. Should I, and ask the decision you don't know about in a phrase. So should I hire this person? Should I go out of town? Should I do this? Should I do that? And then see what that initial answer is from your intuition. Then go to ask your logic, same question. Logic, should I? And either it's going to start like justifying it with reasons, or it's quiet and it has nothing to say. That's a no. And then fear. And fear is, you just have a horrible sensation and rising up inside of you. So if you get a yes, no from fear, excuse my loudness, then that's actually a yes to move forward, because it's going to be a growth area that's going to transform your life. If you get a no on the first 2, it's probably a no-go altogether. And so that's how you can use the tool. Been using this with clients myself for many years, and it's a nice tool to kind of discern all the different voices in your head of how to proceed and know when to move forward, even if it's scary. The next one here is invest in you first. So as you grow your position or role, or as you take on more responsibilities with homeschooling or remote working, then you have to also build out the foundation for your you time. So think about, what are all the things that nourish your soul? And for some of you, it might be going outside, taking a deep breath. It could be meditating. It could be anything you want, listening to certain music, resting. But those first 30 minutes of the day, what's a way that you can do that soul nourishing thing? And as you grow, just consider that everything in your life is a reflection of you and your choices. Try that on. And then if you do that, what's the, as things get complex, you just have to keep growing that foundation. That's the number one mistake or pitfall I see a lot, is they just keep the same practices. So for example, when COVID hit and it kept growing and I was now homeschooling my 9-year-old and all these things, I had to go from 1 hour of morning time to 2 hours morning time, and from 3 times of yoga to everyday yoga. And I had to take still more time off. I did silent retreats at home. I had to get creative with really increasing time invested back into myself. So an action you can take is to think about one thing that really nourishes your soul, because sometimes when you're working out, you're still checked out thinking about work. So it's got to be something that helps you zone in and relax. And what is that thing? And if you did it every day for 5 days, notice what that impact is, and then you can increase it to give yourself a 21-day challenge. If you're someone who already has a really solid morning routine, which I'm guessing not by the poll, but maybe you do, then you can just expand what you have been doing, but make sure it's winnable and you're setting yourself up for success. That's why I always start really, really tiny. Just take one thing that would really ground you for the day and be consistent, at least 5 days in a row, and then you can move from there. Okay, the next one is value your fears. So I'm just looking how we're on time. Okay, so if you are able to face and allow your fears, this is super critical to having more relaxation and flow through the chaos of life. So this is an example from a client that had was very reactionary all the time. There's just so many fires to put out, respond to, go meeting that, do that, and he just couldn't take weekends off. And he just, quote unquote, they couldn't, like they were not capable yet. When I was like, what's the fear? Let's go inside there. And he discovered, well, if I don't, I'm gonna like lose money, and then if I lose money, I'm gonna be homeless, and it's do or die, do or die. And when we just took the time to actually face the fear, A, he heard it was kind of ridiculous, but B, it just allowed that emotion that was like stuck in there to like come out, and he could breathe. And recently, after this meeting, a few weeks later, he like would send me a text like on his boat, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, enjoying the sunshine," and it was just cool because he naturally would take all the other time off once that fear was faced. I don't know, when I was getting my pregnancy, right? I was so afraid. The fear I had was getting a cesarean, but I was so scared of it. I'm positive I would have actually gotten one had I not faced my fear. But we were doing a class, and I actually drew the fear out, and I had everyone in masks, and I was cut off from the baby and all this stuff, and I drew it out. And then I realized, okay, I accepted it. When I accepted it, I started like embellishing the picture with like music notes. Oh, we can play happy music still, and I put happy eyes on the surgeons' faces, and I was like, this could still be good. And by allowing that, I mean, I ended up water birthing my son, like, but I'm positive if I hadn't done that, I would have just been so worked up that I wouldn't have been able to do a water birth. But even if I had a cesarean, I would have been happy with that too. So the point is, face your fear, and it allows you to relax. And the last one is energize your daily flow. And this is where you want to master your mood and really be able to move your body through moving meditations. Okay, so everybody, I usually speak to like all videos, so I'm not used to all the non-videos, which is fine. For this one, if possible, it's just fun to see everybody do. But if you can unvideo yourself, that would be awesome. I was like, it is hard to talk to a bunch of names. Okay. Okay. So this is called pinky thumb exercise. So these are simple exercises you can do right there in your chair when you're hunched over all day to relax your body more. So put out your both fists like this, and put out one thumb, and then the pinky of the other hand. Oops, like this. And then close them both, and then do the other way. And then see if you can go back and forth. Ooh, some of you, yeah, it took me a while to get to this point. This is minutes and minutes of mastery. But it does get easier, and what's actually happening, you can't really think about other things because it's like, wait, and your left and right brain lobes are getting integrated. This helps actually things with like Alzheimer's and dementia too. But anyway, so this is just a simple thing that when they do this is from Power Brain Education and from brain education program. The kids who do it score better, they're more relaxed, things like that. So if you're about to go into a meeting that's super tense, do some pinky thumb. Okay, another one is intestinals. And this is, again, at your chair, you just put both of your hands like this on your thumbs in your belly button. And the belly button is a special place, obviously, is where you're born with your umbilical cord that connects to all parts of your body. So just suck in your stomach as you inhale. Or don't worry about inhaling, exhaling. Just suck in your stomach, kind of like a crunch. You're going to pump your stomach in and out as you rest your hands and focus your awareness in your second chakra, which is like, if you go like this, it's the center of the triangle, halfway in between your body. So like kind of the center, it's like your core. It's where you birth life. It's where you're a woman, and then it's where you, as a Navy SEAL or Olympic athlete or performer or singer, you have to get this really strong, your core, right? So this is strengthening your core. And as you keep pumping, you can keep pumping as you do this, you will notice your whole body starts to heat up, which then boosts your immunity up by a couple degrees. When you're raising your body temperatures, it helps the average 10 to 15 pounds of waste that's stuck in your gut from sitting all day actually move through. Because even if you're eating good food, it putrefies if you're not moving it around enough, and most of us aren't paying attention to exercising our organs. So you can do this in the car, you can do this when you're at a checkout line, you can do this on a Zoom call, and if you do 1,000 a day, I know that's a lot, just start with 100, but if you can do 1,000 a day, which takes about 20 minutes, then it really, gets you a workout, but it actually flushes out your whole energy system, bringing more blood and oxygen from your hot head, because we're thinking too much from that 24/7 brain. So it brings all that energy literally down into your gut and warms the gut up, which is normally really cold. And so it's a water up, fire down principle. So it's like water goes up to your head to make it calm and cool, so you're cool headed versus the hot head, and it brings down the hot into your hot belly, so you have a hot belly. In general, in martial arts and in many sports, that's the optimal energy state you want to be in. Okay, so those are just a couple exercises, but you can do anything. So think about a 1 minute exercise that you can do. There's a free app called 1 Minute Change you can take a look at. It's through a body brain yoga company, and anytime you go to the bathroom or just brush your teeth, those habitual things you do, you can just drop and do 10 push-ups, or you can integrate little bits of movement, and just a little bit of movement will make a big difference in feeling more charged up. It's like recharging your battery. Okay, so to recap, what is this exercise called? Intestinals. So what we just did with the pumping is intestinals, because it's working out your intestines. So as far as the 5 steps, so allow more yin to your yang. So this is about intentionally blocking in time to relax. L is listening within, so that's making decisions quickly and effectively with the 3 inner advisors. Invest in you first is understanding that you have to increase the foundation of you as your life grows more complex. And vanquishing or valuing, your fears is really facing them and allowing them to flow through instead of trying to fix it, avoid it, resist fear. Just face it and allow it and let it flow through. And then energize your daily flow, or the exercises we did. And Terrence, so the 3 indicators, going back to listening within. So just so we know how to use that tool again, that's where if you get a yes, 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 it's a yes. If you get a no, yes, yes, or just if you get no on any of them, it's a no-go. And then if you get a yes, yes, no, hell no, that's where it's still actually yes. So that's how you use that. But practice, play with it. Some of those are weighted more heavily, I found. For me, intuition, I have to weight more than logic. So this is how life actually is. And just to wrap up, why does all this matter? Well, A, because many of you on this call are low energy or middle energy and probably want to feel high energy where you wake up naturally in the morning. But this is happening. So rather than resist it or survive it, let's, fight it or freeze it, or, you can flow. You can flow. There's a middle way. And for those of you who are struggling or need help, you might need like a guide that you want with you, or you don't want to fall off, I am here for you. So if anybody wants a complimentary consult, I am happy to do that. It's normally $250 at the end of the call, but I'm just waiving that because I know people are in a hard time right now, so I'm just giving back. So if you want to take advantage of that, there's the link where you can book and just indicate on the survey event attendee, and then I will waive that fee for you. We also have a Get It Done challenge, which if you're tired of getting constantly interrupted or unclear what to prioritize, or you're just exhausted from back-to-back meetings constantly, learn 5 superpowers that are not the same as these ones that we're gonna step-by-step accomplish. So it's just a quick powwow on Zoom for 10-15 minutes, coaching, training, 1 action, takeaway that you go take that action. The whole thing can be done in about 15, max 30 minutes a day. If you can't make it, we have it recorded as well, but there's the link where you can take part in this free challenge, and there's prizes and lots of other fun things. So people have accomplished back taxes and all sorts of things they really didn't want to do that they thought were impossible. So I invite you to that. Thank you.
Hey, Anna, thank you very much for that wonderful talk. I definitely picked up some few tips. If anybody has any questions for Anna, just simply unmute yourself and ask a question. First, I'll start off first. Anna, can you repeat the 3 key indicators for a yes?
Yes. So it's intuition or gut or inner wisdom. And then it's logic or irrational brain. And then fear.
And can you repeat again, when your fear is saying no, what does that mean?
So only if it's a yes, yes from intuition and logic, would you pay attention to fear at all? But if it's a yes, yes from those advisors, but then a no from the fear, that's just you breaking through to your next level, like breaking through some sort of glass ceiling in the reptilian part of your brain, right? We have 3 parts of the brain, and the survival part is going nuts because it thinks it's going to get killed, but it's not. It's just a growth area. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Anna? Okay, I have one more question before we move on. What is the exercise called that you did with your belly? That was very effective. What was that called again?
That is called intestinals.
Intestinals.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm just putting in the chat to my info if you want to get a hold of me. And then there's the link to the challenge as well.
Okay, great. Does anyone out there have any other questions for Anna?
I'll put in a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
So Anna, I come from a yoga background, and I'm kind of like now had to kind of go over to my husband's business. So I was a yoga teacher and a massage therapist and an energy worker, all of that. So I'm kind of like trying to integrate these 2 worlds. But I find in the number 2 with the question, like how are you expressing that to people when you talk about, well, I'm going to ask this question from an intuition point. I'm going to ask this question from a logic point. And I think we all can understand a fear point, but how do you find that within yourself? Does that seem like a question that I'm...
Let me make sure I got what you're saying. So so you always use this tool just with yourself. You're not doing this with other people.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
And so,
well, I guess it's like how, as you explain it, I just wonder if anybody else is, because like if I got really nitty gritty with it, I would say, okay, well, is this intuition or is this logic? Yeah, between the 2, between the body and the mind.
Yes. Yeah, that takes.
I guess. Yeah. Would you be saying that from the body? Are you taking body? Are you taking embodiment when you ask the intuition question, or are you taking mind when you ask the mind question?
Gotcha. So again, this is from Brian Whitaker, and there's many different tools out there to discern between different things. So I don't want to map different body, mind, heart, soul. That would be a different thing when you're kind of talking to different parts of your body, like why are you in pain, and seeing what it says.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
But this, for the purposes of this, it takes time to discern what's what. So for someone who's like not hasn't been listening within much, because most of us, the vast majority of humanity, is distracted outside and listening to advice and everything from outside themselves, books, podcasts, online internet, other relationships, spouses, right? They're not used to asking themselves as much. Most people, introverted people more so. So it takes time to discern, but I literally just ask yourself, like you just ask yourself, like in your head, like, okay, intuition, like pick the word that resonates for you. So for Kelly, like what would be us? Sorry, I'm just trying to stop this. Okay, so for you, what would you say is the one that's hard to hear?
Well, they're always fighting. Well, I think that for me, it's kind of, there's such an integration that sometimes I don't know, okay, is this actually, am I just doing this all intuitively, or am I actually going into a logical question? Or am I just overhearing the logic, and am I not, not looking at this from an intuitive?
Got it. Okay, great question. So it takes time. I just want to say that to everybody to discern this, but normally intuition is like, it can be immediate, but it's not reactive. Or it can be soft and kind of gentle after you wait. Like if there's a pause and then it kind of wafts up gently, as I find, versus the logic voice is like, it has a lot to say or has nothing to say, but it's like, it's very automatic. And it can be reactionary, but not necessarily a bad reactionary, just it's reacting. So you just have to trust yourself and play with, okay, I think that is intuition. Let's just go with that for now, right? And then when you try again with a different decision and see what it says, and you'll get a sense. So intuition, yes, is more tied to the body or your heart. You can say ask your heart, ask your gut, right? And there's usually an instinctual response, but don't analyze it. That's the logical brain, right? It has a quick answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think my logical brain was getting in there too much.
Most of all of us have been trained to pretty much use our logical brain most of the time, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of yang, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Great. So we have a question here in the chat. Does this work for those who are always just low energy instead of burnt out? I feel that I am always tired regardless of workload.
Good, yes. It works, yeah, for any state you're at. And if you're at a constantly low energy state, which I have on the call are, then there's usually layers and layers to look at. So the first thing is getting rid of any big energy drains that you have. Some of you might be in a role that's not your genius, or that's in your flow. So every day you're like drained by your role, or in the wrong company or something. It could be that who you're working with is toxic, or the clients that you have to serve aren't a fit. So all of those things are big drainers that will have you wake up super tired, unnoticed, or if there's no shift is made. But so the more you unload the energy drains, the more you can easily discern and use these tools, because they can be subtle, right? And most of us are numb in our bodies, and we're just in our heads like constantly. So yes is the short answer. And hopefully that gives you a few steps, right? Like first you can offload big energy drains. So you can make a list of just like all the things that just really like that you deal with day to day. The other big one that happens a lot is sleep. So I'm curious how many hours people sleep, or if they're getting restful sleep. It's not about, scientifically, it's like 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night is what's the vast majority of humanity needs. And most people are getting about 5 to 6 or a little short. And so that builds up over time as well. And there's lots of science around sleep, but I'm less about the hours and more about if you naturally wake up without an alarm, which is possible, I'm like, that's how I roll, then that's when you know you've got sleep, because your body just knows and it gets up with sleep. But most people, if you're in a low energy state, the first thing you have to do is just start, if you kind of look at it, if you assess yourself from a body, mind, heart, spirit standpoint, the first one that has to be worked on is your body, which you can just look at the 4 or 5 main elements around: are you breathing well? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Can you go to the bathroom well? I know that's a funny one, but that matters. And people can't say yes to all of those things. So that's like where you want to start, just from a basic standpoint. Because if your body's not functioning properly from not getting sleep perpetually, or not eating well, or snacking, then it's harder to use the tools than just get that in order first, the house in order.
Great. So another question. The attendee wants any tips about what if you are asking about a career pivot or a change? How would you integrate logic with intuition?
Good. Okay. So if you're debating, oh, should I make this pivot or a change in my career? So you would ask yourself, should I make this career change? And if you don't know where you're going to next, it could be, should I just leave this job, right? Would be the question. So then you just ask yourself, okay, intuition or gut, should I leave this job? And you're going to get like a initial. So then you ask the second one, okay, logical brain, should I leave my job? And then it would be like, no, you need money or or whatever it says, right? And then 3, fear, should I leave this job? And there's probably a lot of fear. Most people have that when they're leaving something. But if you get a yes, an affirmative, right? I don't want to like on the call. I know there's a mix of supervisors and teams, so I don't want people. But you have to look right for yourself of that sequence, and then that helps indicate to you what you might not be willing to face, but that's what's necessary to move on for the health and well-being of yourself. Or it might be the only thing that would have you stay in that situation, should I leave this job, is like a yes, no, or excuse me. Anyway, I think you get it. I don't want to make it more complicated. So it's just ask yourself the 3 questions. Should I leave or should I make this change? If you know what change you want to make, then ask the question as in like, should I go after this new job? So ask it always in the affirmative. Only ask, should I leave, if you don't know what you need to do next. And
great. Go ahead, Anna.
Oh yeah, no, and journal about it too. That helps integrate those pieces inside.
Great. Well, Anna, thank you very much. Before we leave, we're just going to do another quick poll. And this poll is, let's see here. Basically, what are some next steps that you are going to take after hearing Anna speak? Looks pretty even so far. Okay, so we have okay, so it looks like Energize Your Daily Flow is a top priority, with Invest in You first and Add Yin to Your Yang coming in second. Anna, any thoughts, any reactions to the poll answers?
I can't see the poll. Is it? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. Oh, it's fairly distributed. No one on listen with, and that's funny. Okay, so energize your daily flow. So yeah, that's by far in our culture of screen time all day, every day, Zoom. That's the biggest thing. So again, there was that app I was talking about, 1 Minute Change, that helps. They have really nice guides that for a minute walk you through like 36 different exercises that you can pick which one you feel like doing. And you can set a timer like every hour, and then do the 1 minute exercise. And it's better if you're doing bits of movement throughout the day as opposed to just 20 minutes at the beginning of the day. That's cool too. But if possible, like just even any sort of, just even looking up. So, I was going to show there's some desk exercises that are easy to do. So our neck and shoulders are often most tight right now. Doing this, and the weight of your head when you lean over is quite a bit. It goes, there's the app is called 1 Minute Change. In the email, we can probably put links to these things too, so that people have access to that. Terrence, if that works for you.
Yeah, I'll be sending out a post email to everybody, so I'll make sure they have all that information.
Cool. So anyways, desk exercises. So there's like, basically you can massage your head. That's even, I know this isn't like exercise, but just breaking your stare. First off, like when you're staring at the screen, it's one depth of vision, and that's bad for your eyes. You're not looking long distance, like if you're driving, or short distance if you're reading. It's like just one thing. So any sort of break from this like trance position that you're in, hunched over a little bit, is great. I mean, most people have standing desks these days, so at least their neck is higher up. But anyway, so the desk exercises you can do is massaging here and your temples and below here. These are all acupressure points that help release your neck and shoulder tension. Kind of this whole area here, which is for yoga people, your sixth chakra. And you can just, people naturally go like this when they're stressed out, but it actually, in fact, is connected to a bunch of energy meridians. And then you can, there's a lot, I have so many exercises, but there's one where you're like, you go like this and you push your head against your palm and you're strengthening actually your neck. So you're doing this like tension for 10 seconds and then release. Tension and then release, and you can do it on the other side like that. But it's important to keep your spine straight as you're doing it. So you're not doing this. You're straight. And then you can pull forward, again, spine straight, but pulling your elbows forward. And then pushing your head against your hands, right? And then pushing down and up. So all of those actually help strengthen your neck muscle, but also loosens the tension in them. And although it's not a cardio kind of exercise, it is what I would deem as a 1-minute exercise to help energize your daily flow. And there's like fun ones you can just like pull on your ears. And right now, if everybody pull on their ears, you can feel if it hurts a lot, you got a lot of blocked energy and tension. It's kind of amazing. If people are like, ah, you know, and you want to actually just massage it until that pain goes away. So for some of you, that might be like 5 minutes. Others, it could be just 30 seconds or 10 seconds. So you can do that, and you can massage your ears too, this way, like between your fingers. And you can also plug your ears. It's my favorite. Like put I can't hear you. Like plug your ears and go, oh, it's like when your ears pop, right? But you can do it with each of your fingers. So all these things, I know these are like really wacky exercises, but they work. They're actually based in like 5,000 years of the Tao, and there's, I don't know, it's based in a lot of actual science and stuff. But anyway, but yeah, you can do through each ear like this. So those are just some ways, but the app, and then I have an Energy TV channel that has a bunch of other exercises on it too that you can tune into. So I can put that here in the chat. It's just youtube.com and Essentially. And that is our Energy TV station. Oops. Put that to Sheila. Anyway, so there are like numerous tiny little exercises to take that are just fun and awesome at your desk. You can do a neck stretch like this, pull on one side of the chair, and then hang low. Oh, that was really good. And then side ear, and then look down, right? I'm allowed to stretch your back this way, down. You can do the dead chicken. Oh, sorry, I'll impart you with the dead chicken, because that's like, if there's one exercise to do that you take away from this could be it. So you just like press back, and you put your palms out like this. And for any of you who are like energy people, like you actually want to picture energy coming through your acupressure points here and releasing out your back, your indon point, which is like just right in the middle of your back. But anyway, you can just push your shoulders back, stick your neck up like this for 10 seconds. Oh, yeah. And that's going to counterbalance all of that sitting you do and really release a lot of your energy to restore that water up, fire down principle I was talking about, so that you can have more energy in your day.
Well, great. Well, thanks, Anna, for all those amazing exercises. And we're actually getting requests for you to come back and just do a session with all the exercises. So we'll have to remember that for the future. So just to wrap up, want to thank Anna once again for joining us and sharing all of her wonderful wisdom. And I'd also like to once again thank our event sponsors, Business Health Trust, Reach King County, and our small business champions, Boeing and Symetra. We have some time tomorrow. We have a very pertinent webinar concerning PPP. It's going to be an update on forgiveness and the second draw. So just go to our website and register for that. So thank you all for coming, and here's to better energy. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.